What does it mean when the judge refuses to throw out your verdict? You want to know what it means? Come join me on this walk through the neighborhood as I tell you exactly what it means. Hi, I'm Gerry Oginski. I'm a New York medical malpractice and personal injury attorney. Okay, so let's say you brought a medical malpractice case against your doctor claiming that he was careless and that his carelessness was a cause of your injury. And you claim that your injuries are significant and permanent. And now your case goes all the way to trial. At the time of trial, the jury ultimately comes back and gives you a verdict in your favor. Okay? Now, the jury compensates you. They give you a significant amount of money. The first thing that will happen after the jury comes back with their verdict is the defense attorney is going to jump up out of his chair and say, Your Honor, I ask that you dismiss Oginski's client's case. Why? Because the verdict is against the weight of the evidence. And now, what does the judge do? The judge will now hear brief argument from the defense attorney about why he thinks that your verdict is not justified. Then he will turn to me and say, okay, counselor, what do you have to say? And what am I going to say? I'm going to say, Judge, the jury has spoken. The jury listened to all the testimony. They listened to all the evidence. They came to their own conclusion about whether or not this doctor was careless. They came to their own conclusion about whether his carelessness was a cause of this patient's injuries. And it's obvious that these injuries are significant and permanent. Now I argue, Judge, this verdict should not be upset. This verdict should not be thrown out. So now, what happens when the judge actually makes a decision and says, your motion is denied, defense attorney? What does that actually mean? Does that mean that the doctor is actually going to take out his checkbook right then and there, cut a check for millions of dollars to you as compensation for all the harms and losses and damages that you suffered because of his carelessness? The answer is no, that's not what's going to happen. The very first step, when you get a verdict like that, the defense tries to do everything possible to get that verdict thrown out. And the first way they do that is by asking the trial judge to throw that out. Now, you should know something else. Just because the trial judge has denied that request immediately after the verdict comes in, doesn't mean that he won't do it or change it later on down the road. You want to know what that means? Well, here's what happens. After the verdict comes in, now the defense has made their request to throw out your verdict. The judge has said, no, I'm not touching that verdict. If you don't like it, counselor, you can now do one of two things. You can ask me formally in written papers to reduce or throw out the verdict. That's known as a post-trial motion. Or you're welcome to go appeal it. Now the defense attorney has a couple of options at that point. He can leave the verdict as it is and get his client to pay that amount. Or he can try and negotiate and try and settle in light of this verdict. That's a possibility too. Your case can settle after getting a significant verdict. Or he can go ahead and try and appeal the case to the next higher level court, which is known as the appellate division here in New York. So what's he going to do? Well, the answer is it all depends. It depends on their strategy. It depends whether an offer had been made. It depends what they think, the defense thinks this case is valued at, what the real value is. And now they have to have a whole strategy to determine what their next best option is. Are they going to try and negotiate at this point? Do they think they'll have a better chance with the appellate court? Or should they get another shot at the apple by asking the trial judge to formally go ahead and throw out the verdict? Why? Because now they will go ahead and submit the actual trial transcript to the judge and now use that reference, use the entire transcript to show the court that we were not able to sufficiently show that we're entitled to a verdict in our favor and that the jury clearly was mistaken and misunderstood. And now they have that option. So many times the defense will turn around and say, you know what, we're going to take another shot at the apple, go ahead and submit written papers, formal papers to the court and see what he says. What are the options the trial judge has at that point? He has the same exact options that he had when this verbal request was made, when the jury came back with their verdict. He could leave the verdict as it is. He could go ahead and say, you know what? Now that I'm reflecting back on it and reading the transcript, I do see that certain things were made in error. Maybe I made the wrong decision at one point that affected the outcome. You know what? I don't like this verdict. I'm going to reduce it. Now that's a possibility. On the other hand, it is also possible for the judge to say, you know what? I think the amount that the jury gave this particular injured patient is too little. I'm going to increase it. And if you don't like it, you can go ahead and appeal that. So there are many different options that can occur. So why do I share this quick information with you? I share it with you because it's a beautiful day today here, and I just wanted to get this great information in front of you so you have a clear understanding of exactly what happens in these medical malpractice cases in New York. You know, I recognize you likely have questions or concerns about your own matter. Well, if your matter did happen in New York and you're thinking about bringing a lawsuit, but haven't done so yet because you still have questions that need to be answered, what I invite you to do is pick up the phone and call me. You know, I answer questions like yours every single day, and I'd love to talk to you. You can reach me at 516-487-8207 or by email at Gerry, Gerry, at Oginski-law.com. That's it for today's video. I'm Gerry Oginski. Have a wonderful day.